So I finished A Dangerous Book for Boys. Now, I wanted to like this one a lot, and I thought I would like it a lot. I didn't end up liking it as much as I thought I would. Bryan Cranston is a producer. Now, he's been doing a lot of good Amazon Prime stuff, I think. I like Sneaky Pete a lot. He produced and he starred, didn't star, he was a major character on the first season. He was in new Philip K. Dick adaptation. He had an episode there. I thought he was quite good on that. So he's been doing some good work. He's producing this. I thought I'd like it. I like the premise. The central premise. Now, a lot of people may disagree with the fundamental idea of having a book that's supposed to be this coming of age book teaching boys how to be men, and most of it is baseball, battleships, cannons, poker, kind of this traditional old school male stuff, and people may just find that inherently problematic. I don't. I think that it's somewhat refreshing. It's a little breath of fresh air, throwback to a simpler time. Now, obviously, easy for me to say that, but nonetheless. So I didn't mind the premise, and some people might say a lot of the advice and a lot of these life lessons that are being imparted, they were very trite and very just cliche at this point, and so vague and simple that they're not really of much use. Now, I disagree with that as well, because for me, my own experience, I heard a lot of these cliched statements, and you think you understand them. You hear them, and you listen to them, and you think you understand what they're all about, but then you live your life a bit, and you have some life experiences, and you have a particular life experience, and suddenly that cliche that you've heard a million times said, yeah, I get it, suddenly that hits you right to your core, and suddenly you understand it, but more importantly, you understand it at like a visceral lived experience level, and I think that's what the show was trying to convey. It wasn't just them reading these quotes in the abstract. No, these quotes were read, and then an adventure was lived that was supposed to really just drive home and cement these truths, which again, I think they're cliched, but they're not really understood by people at a deep level. If they were really understood by people at a deep level, I think the world would be a better place. So I didn't mind the premise. Where I think it failed a bit in execution was the family. It didn't really feel like a real family to me. It felt a bit like just a collection of bad sitcom stereotypes. So you had the protagonist, a sensitive boy coming of age, that's fine, but then his brothers, so we had two brothers, one was named Dash, this onomatopoeia name, and Dash is just typical gelled hair. Oh, I got a D. I've never gotten a D before. That's awesome. Just the rambunctious, dumb, I'm eating Jell-O. I'm just happy to be here. Kind of like Reese off Malcolm in the Middle a little bit. Then you had another brother who was just this weird little brainiac young adult. He's already wearing suits and talking about Malcolm Gladwell. So none of these characters, they just felt very comical. Uncle Terry, he's the classic fun uncle, but very, very immature, and it just went too far. He had the neck tattoo, looked like the Chinese word for crisis is opportunity, just the most cliched, kid goes to the Far East and gets the first tattoo he can think of. Has these horrible business ideas to start a surf shop in Akron, Ohio. He's scrawling out his business plan is just a picture of a surf shack. So it was so over the top. He was funny at times, but just very hard to really feel like he's a real person. And don't get me started, then the grandma's just this gravelly voiced. I guess the whole idea was that she partied hard her whole life, and now she was just this kind of bitter, inappropriate, walking around naked. The insurance guy would come over and she would just blatantly flirt with the insurance guy. And again, it just felt kind of like no one in this family could really root for. And then the mother, the single mother, because the father passed away, just single mother with the heart of gold, just like purely good. So it seemed like the single mother and the protagonist seemed like real people to some extent you could identify with, but everyone else was just there for comic relief. So with these different characters, literally colorful characters, I feel like they had a decent setup for a pretty funny sitcom, because there were a lot of funny character moments, but they were shooting for something I think a bit more meaningful and supposed to kind of hit you a little harder. And I think that all the comic relief characters, the feel that you weren't really following a real family, it was a very made-for-TV family, I think it was to the show's detriment.